Have you ever asked yourself what the shop floor is? Have you ever asked yourself when to use the shop floor? Or have you ever been lost using the shop floor? Well, then this talk is for you. I'm Chloe van den Hove, business analyst here at Odoo, and today I will guide you through the new UX of shop floor in Odoo 19. We made it simpler, we made it more efficient, which also means that this will improve the productivity on the production floor. Like always, you see the little QR code. In order to add your questions in the pad, I'll answer them at the end of the talk. So make sure to scan it. It will still be there at the end. So, first of all, we'll go over when to use it. It's something very important because, of course, it needs to have an added value in your flow. You shouldn't use it just to use it, but it needs to have an added value. Then I will give a demo. Of course, the idea is not for you to believe me based on what I say, but for me to show you in Odoo how the Odoo 19 shop floor is. And then we'll go over some takeaways just before the Q&A. So what is the shop floor and when to use it? What it is, it's just an extra manufacturing app, but that is kind of in a tablet view. So when should you use it? Well, when human intervention is needed. It's super user-friendly, it's simple, so it's specifically made for people on the work floor that wouldn't have a lot of IT knowledge, for example. Also, when real-time interactions are needed, for example, for quality checks, printing out labels, and other barcodes with components and so on. But also for cost management reasons. So when you want not only to know the cost of your components, but also know the cost of the actual production, so the time spent by your employees. And last but not least, it has a kiosk mode, which is very handy, mainly because you don't need to pay for extra users. You can just allow your employees to have access to Odoo without having access to the backend. I'm going to show you that today, so we'll go over it. In order for me to show you everything, I will introduce you to a fake customer, Jasmine Torres, who is the CEO of PowerGo Tech, who produces and manufactures consumer electronics. They are currently working in Odoo 16, so there is no shop floor, and they will be upgrading to Odoo 19 soon. Something that I totally recommend you guys as well, by the way. We will focus on lean manufacturing because her focus in 2026 is lean manufacturing. She faces a lot of challenges currently. She's growing. It's a luxury problem, but even though like that, she's growing, so she has new employees. They're not very IT friendly. They need to be onboarded very fast. They need to know what to do on the production floor. So it's important for her to have something simple. Also, she doesn't want to pay for an extra user for every new employee. That would be way too costly. Next to that, she has no idea on the actual production cost. So she knows how much the component costs, but she has no idea on the production cost. You feel it coming already. We're going to speak about the shop floor today. Also, she is currently using paper on the production floor, which is administratively speaking a nightmare. Somebody needs to prepare it, somebody needs to put it all in the database afterwards, so it's not efficient. What I suggested is to give her a demo based on one of our products. So here I present to you the PowerGo Tech rechargeable power bank that we will use today in the shop floor. Let's deep dive in Odoo. I said it to you, we're not going to talk too much. So the first thing that I want to show you is the bill of material. So if I go into the bill of material, I have the rechargeable power bank that's already pre-configured. I have a lot of products over here. Right? And in the operations, I have some different operations and steps we're going to go through. So what I will do is go to my shop floor app and I will install the kiosk mode. I already did it in this case, so I'm gonna go to another screen. Bear with me because it looks the same. The difference between both is that I don't have access here to the database, which I did have in the database, right? So I'm now going to activate the work centers that I need. I need 3 work centers, so you need to imagine that I have a tablet view over here. I'm going to confirm this, and I now have my 3 stations here. This tablet stays near those 3 stations. I have a 4th one, but that one is only for expertise. I'll come back on it later on. I have a few employees that are working on the floor as well. I'm going to select them all. I have mainly 2 employees, Marc Dupont and Daniel Brown, that are working on the production itself, and our expert, Anil Kapoor. I added them here as well. And then I want to improve the way what they see now, because currently they see 4 manufacturing orders, and you need to believe me, but there are only 2 for today. So there is a new filter in Odoo 19, and that's also something that you can find on other places in Odoo, which is the date category. And this allows us to have a dynamic filter on today. So no need anymore to add every time the specific date of today, which is a very cool improvement. So I will just add it in my default filters as today. Let's make it clear. And they now see only what they have to produce today. They don't care about everything that has to be produced on other days. It's not their work, so they will be focusing on what has to be done today. The first one to arrive is Marc Dupont. So Marc Dupont, we're not that many, so I think you can more or less see it, has a badge, and he will scan his badge. In order to make sure that he's not scanning for somebody else, there is a little PIN code to add. So he adds its PIN code in order for him to be able to work. Normally you don't show it to a full, amount of people. And he just walks to the battery prep station. Once in the battery prep station, he can start working. So he starts to work, and the first thing that he sees is that it's all very dirty, that equipment is pretty old, and so on. So he wants to let the maintenance team know that there is something to do on that work center. So he can, from here, from the work order directly, just request the maintenance. He's just going to say it's dirty and old equipment. There you go. Where? Well, on the work center where he is, so the battery prep station, he can still see it over here. And he won't block the work center because he can still work, but that way the maintenance team is now aware that there's something to do. So it's completely integrated with the maintenance app as well. So now that he's here, he can actually start working, and that's also something very cool from Odoo 19. You can now scan, and of course I will play a little bit with the papers, but normally you just take the product in front of you and you scan the product. But he has a lithium battery to scan. So he scans it, and it tells you that there is also a lot number or serial number to be given. In this case it's a serial number, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I will scan that serial number, and paf, the component has been used. Or boom, like our CEO would say. He will then have to measure the voltage. So he knows exactly what has to be done. 3.7, that's what we received as information. He's going to save it, and he can, for example, mark it as done here, or we could also add a few barcode commands next to the tablet, which would allow them to just scan the mark as done command. So I'm going to scan it and mark it as done. I was scanning the wrong one from what I see. There you go. Mark as done. So now that he finished the first part of what he had to do on the battery prep station, he's going to walk to the PCB and LED assembly station. As his colleague isn't there today, he's taking care of 2 work centers. And from here, he's also going to start scanning. Let's imagine that he forgets to start the timer. Well, no problem. Let's just go over something and scan a product. So I will scan the indicator LED strip. I can still do it from here actually as well. So there is still, you could still use the tablet view. Let me show that to you as well. And as soon as he starts clicking or scanning, the timer starts. So no more mistakes on the shop floor. He can then scan the USB charging board, so that's what I'm going to do. I scan the USB charging board. I will scan the lot number that I used, so USB charging board. This time I have number 2 in front of me. And then I worked quite a lot already, so it's now time for a little break. I stop working, I leave the work center, and I come back a bit later. Something that's very cool about Odoo 19 now is that as soon as you start working on a work order, you're actually assigned to it, which has as a consequence that in my work orders, you will directly find the work order on which you were working. So you can just start again Again, by either starting the timer manually or scan it with the barcode command. Both are possible. So I will do that. I will just continue and start. And I will now follow the instructions. Remember, I have a lot of new employees, so I absolutely need everything to be very clear to them. Here I have all the instructions, and for the ones that need it, also an extra image of what has to be done. So this is done. I can now validate it and mark this as done. Mark has been working enough already, so now it's Daniel Brown that's arriving at the workstation. And he's taking care of the casing and mechanical assembly station today. So he can again scan his own badge. So that's what Daniel Brown is going to do. There you go. He also has a pin code that he shouldn't be showing, like I'm doing now. I will confirm this. And he will start working. So let's start. There you go. The first thing that he will have to do again, you see how easy it is now to use the components in Odoo 19. He will have to scan the plastic casing. So that's what he's doing. Choose the one that he wants. Again, he can scan it or select it. And then he will have to create a serial number for the power bank. Why do I insist on the power bank? Because now every product, and that's new from Odoo 19, can have his own serial number and own sequence. So the power bank has as serial number PB001 for power bank. It's automatically done, so no need to think about what the old serial number was. You can still have the minutes, hours, and so on in the sequence. I kept it easy. Then something else, you can now also, that was also possible in Odoo 18, by the way, but you can print the label either by clicking on it or or scanning the print label option. You need to remember as well that if you have an IoT that links it to your printer, the label comes out directly and you can directly put it on your product. Then he will, like he's used to it, normally it always works, so he just says pause. And then he realized it doesn't work. Well, since Odoo 19, you now have the undo function, which is very handy, very useful. We all had a moment where we did something, and you know the Control Z that we use sometimes on our computer, we all want that. So there you go, he can undo it, and he can fail that quality check. It still doesn't work. So what does he do? He searches for an option and he doesn't find any option and any solution to his current problem. So he's going to stop working on it. And even though we were already working on this work order, we can now modify the routing. So we can change the work order that we were working on and bring it to another workstation. This is also something new. So in this case, I will move it to the work center of of the experts so that they can check it out. So this is what they can do. I will confirm this. And I will now leave the kiosk mode because now we have other people that will intervene. So I'm back on my database. I will just activate this work center as well. So this is something that you have seen already, but I'm on another computer. I will activate it for the experts. I will also add the employees that need to be on this one, for example, mainly my experts. And my experts is only interested in what we have in the expert check part. So he's just going to the expert check and he sees there's something to be checked over here. He can also have a badge. And he has one, so there you go. I'm not gonna make the joke again, so I will just add this here. And he starts working. After checking it out, he realized that the plus was set on a minus, the minus on a plus. Little error at the beginning of the production flow. So he just changes it. He can still, again, undo the quality check and set it as done because it actually works right now. He's thinking about maybe updating the instructions by adding an improvement suggestion directly into the PLM app. So the PLM app allows you to change the versioning of the bill of material, for example, but as it's only the first time that he has that problem. He will leave it like that for now, but still he keeps it in mind for next time if required. What you see here is that I can mark it as done, but I will not be able to close the manufacturing order. That's wanted. Do you remember Jasmine Torres? She wants to have a real control on the production time, and so in order for her to be able to get that control, we don't allow employees to close the manufacturing order from the Shopfloor app. So we're going back to our manufacturing app in the backend. We're going to our manufacturing orders, and from here we can actually filter on everything that is as to close. We have a manufacturing order that's to close, and she can check a little bit. The components, more or less what was planned, so that seems pretty good. We have a maintenance ticket from here, also interesting to know. And then we can go to the work orders. In the work orders, we have the following. We had the expected duration and the real duration. So we see that we were quite efficient today. So maybe the expected duration wasn't really the good one. So she might change that in the future. Now, if we want to have the real ID on the cost of our product, we can click on Produce All. And we can now go to the overview of this specific manufacturing order. And what we see from here is that the real cost is currently below what we thought. So we now have a real cost of $747 with all the detail of what happens. We suppose that we won't always need an expert check and so on. So that allows us to have a real-time tracking of the cost of our products. In other words, we solved quite a few problems that we had in Odoo 18. We had no dynamic filters, too many pop-ups. We couldn't change the routing, so there were less functionalities. There was no undo function. We had an immediate login and so on, and that's solved with Odoo 19. So if I have to leave you with some takeaways, we can say that in general it's easier to use. Thanks to those new functionalities, the undo function, the fact that you can modify the routing, it's more flexible in that way as well. Thanks to those dynamic filters that you can find also in other places in Odoo now. The kiosk mode is just very useful and also interesting as you give access to employees that have no users to Odoo, which is not something little. Also, the use of barcode has improved quite a lot. It allows you now to scan the components, scan the products, which makes it way easier for the person on the shop floor itself. And cost management-wise is really the only way to have your real-time tracking or to have a good ID, maybe not the only way, but to have a real ID of the time that you spent and that your employees spent on while doing the production. So it's already the end of the talk. I'm here to answer all of your questions that you would have. Thank you.
So first question, is the performance of the shop floor improved in the new version of Odoo?
That's a good question because we have quite some questions regarding performance over time. Normally it's not really the idea that I go back to Odoo, but I will do it rapidly here because there are some new functionalities that are quite interesting. One of the things is that you can now add on the shop floor the maximum number of little work orders that you want to show. So that allows you to play a little bit with the performance. You can add more or less, of course. The more you add, the lower you could have performance-wise. And something else as well, there is now a dynamic filter, which isn't really useful in this case because I have the 4 work centers active, but you can filter on this station. This station will allow you to only see the manufacturing orders and work orders related to the stations that you have active on that specific tablet. So those are 2 improvements regarding performance on the shop floor.
Okay, thanks. Because the next question was related to that. They explained that in the last version, in the 18, it was only possible to have maximum of 40 orders. As you explained, that has been improved.
So it has been changed. I don't know who asked it, but I suppose we have at least one happy person in the room here.
Next question, can we add Q&A report to our work order? And is it possible to access this through the serial numbers at the end product?
So what's possible is to play a little bit with spreadsheets when we speak about the quality check. So you could have a spreadsheet in which you have questions. It depends what you mean by Q&A, but with the different selections and so on, and have then a quality check at the end that says if it's fine or if it's not. I don't know by heart if you can see it back on the serial number itself, but you have access to the quality checks regarding that production from the serial number. So in my opinion, that should be fine.
Okay.
I think out loud at the same moment that you're asking the question.
Yes. So is it possible to undo if an employee accidentally press mark as done on a work order? Can we find it back on the kiosk mode? That was also one of my questions.
To find back the work order when it has been set as mark as done,
Yes.
I should check. You can see it from the back end. You might not see it from the kiosk mode itself. Now what you could still do is add an extra work order. Then that's possible from the shop floor. So you could still say, okay, I marked this as done. I'm still working on it on this one. So I create a new work order and I continue. That's what I would do, saying it like that.
Okay. Is it possible for shop floor workers to see related documents, product documents that we have on the product form, perhaps a user manual that is marked?
I don't think the Documents app is related to it, but that's a good feedback. It could actually be interesting to have it. I think in the meantime, what you would have to do is add it a little bit like the image that I added on with the instructions. You could add it there, so that way the person has it every time with him or her. Effectively, you need to put it in two places. We can take it as a feedback.
How did you manage when you need to manufacture multiple products with serial numbers? Does Odoo create again the numbers of quantity as manufacturer order?
I haven't been too much into details into that, as it was not the main focus of my talk, and otherwise we would continue and stay here the whole afternoon. But there are improvements regarding mass producing of serial numbers and lot numbers as well in Odoo 19. So that has been improved. I suppose I will speak about it in what's new in manufacturing or any other talk. Yeah, the expert say yes, so you can go there and if it hasn't passed, or go and check it if it already passed.
And put it in the middle of all over work order.
You need to write
Yes.
more rapidly. We're waiting for the question.
You also have the congratulations that this was a great talk, and I can
thank
also
you.
confirm it.
Thank you. Put it in the middle of all the work orders. I think it was regarding.
I don't really understand.
Yeah, I think it's regarding adding a new work order. I suppose I will make assumptions. If it wasn't that, you can just come back to me afterwards and we can discuss it. But you can decide where you put the work order when you add the work order. I suppose that's the question.
Next question in blue. What is the roadmap towards connecting to robotics, where packaging and labeling happens through robotics?
What is the roadmap towards connecting to robotics? I have no idea, so I would. You can come up to me and we can go and check afterwards with the product owner in the Odoo village. He has the final decision, so we can ask him directly.
You are cute. I don't see.
Then we have something in Portuguese. Are you not going to say it?
I don't speak Spanish, so I will not try. No, you can also read it.
No, it's fine.
I think that's. I don't know if you still have some questions. I don't see any
Do you still
news.
have some extra questions?
Okay. So
No?
I think that you can close.
All
them.
right, then thank you a lot for your attention. And if you have extra questions, I'll be waiting there next to the entrance.
Thank you a lot
Thank
for
you.
this great talk, and thanks for the question.
Thank you.